Hello there. Welcome back to the next lesson on CSS, and what I wanted to show you today was how to use the Chrome inspector. Firefox has a very similar tool which you can explore if you're using Firefox. So the way to get to that is by right-clicking, and at the very bottom you see Inspect Element, and you left-click on that. And up comes the Chrome inspector called the Developer Tools. And in here you can see your DOM. I'm going to start calling this the DOM, Document Object Model, or I've been calling it the document. And it shows all of your elements that we've typed in our previous web page that we've been designing. It has your HTML, your head, your body, and you can close and open these with the twirl open arrow, and you can see everything we've typed in there. So what is great about this is, as you probably can see from what's happening behind here, is it highlights the grouping the divs and what they are and what they're selected. And so let's say we need to go work on something. Here, this div with our class cat image. We'll click on that, and it shows the CSS that's applied to it. And if you remember, we applied this CSS last time. So by hovering over it, it shows everything that this div applies to. And over here, we can see the CSS, and I can check these off to take them off temporarily. So this isn't really editing the web page permanently. It's just doing it temporarily in the browser so I can see what I'm doing to debug it and find problems and or design things. You'll see how powerful this can really be. So hiding the border, I can see it come off and on, which is nice. Background image, same thing. Take it on or off. And height, of course, if you take that away, it goes away. And width, it shows you without the width, it expands to the width of the page. So that's an important way to learn too. We're learning that without a specified width, a block level element like this will just take up the width of the page, and probably inheriting that from the document body. So we'll put that back on and see that. And this is where putting some of these groupings, some of these short background things becomes difficult, because I can't hide the no repeat with the check mark or the positioning. However, I can adjust it in here. So once I click on it, it lets me highlight it. Here I've selected in here, and I can start adjusting this. If I had a new image, if I put a 2 after that, you can see it won't find it. If I did have a kitty cat 2, it would find that and put that in there. I am using the arrow keys to move along in here. And so I moved to the no repeat, and if I start hitting the delete button, it takes away the no repeat, and you can see that that's there. And here I can type repeat -x, and it'll do like we did before, but it'll do it instantaneously in our browser, which is kind of cool. Likewise here, if I'm over this 0, I can start pushing the up arrow, and it starts positioning it differently. So if I wanted to see what this looked like here, if I hold down shift and up arrow, it'll go in increments of 10, which is handy. And you can see that this isn't the most effective example, but I'll be using the developer tools from now on, and you can see how I use it more specifically. What else can I show you on this? Let's go to a different element. So we're going. What's nice when you right click, if you right click over the element, and whatever element you're right clicking over in inspect element, it will help you go right to it. So here we go, we selected that H2 element right in the inspector here. Let's go down to our caption, and I wanted to show you how this has some default styles, user agent style sheet. So the user agent is the browser, and this being Chrome on a desktop, it applies some margins to it. So let's say we want to override those margins. So I'm going to go in here, click on any one of these last elements, hit tab till I get to here where it's going to let me type in one. So I can reset margin to be 0 there, and you can see how that tightened right up. And to go back to the way it was, I'll uncheck that, see how over here it's spread out from the margins, and I'll reapply my rule. And I'm going to just put a 1 pixel in there and hit up a few times to kind of get to a value that I think looks good. I'm going to go down to 10 pixels. So now that I know that I want this, I can copy this. So I'm going to select it, copy, go back to Notepad++, I'm going to reopen our CSS file here. And what's kind of cool about this, if I go back to Inspector here, I'll see that it says main.css, so it shows you what file it is. If you hover over it, it'll show you the path there. And it's on line 35, so it shows me exactly how to find it. So here's line 35 where this rule is set up, the selector P, and I can go after the last element, hit return, paste, and a margin 10 is in there, margin 10 pixels. Hit save and go back to the browser, refresh, and there it is applied, just like how we had it. So let's do a little more tweaking on this. Now that we have that in there, I had to put it in general mode to see what I like. Let's say I only want the margin to be on the top and the bottom and not on the sides. So I'm going to do, remember from last time, the first value affects the top and bottom. The second value does the left and right. So it's 10 pixels and 0. I don't want it to go have a margin on the left or right. And with a 0 value, we don't have to put pixels. So I tested that out, saw that I liked that, and I'm going to go back to my selector here and put that in there. So you can see how having Chrome Inspector development tools, developer tools, is a very handy way to start tweaking your designs, and we'll be using this from now on out. If you're with Firefox, it has a very comparable tool called Firebug Inspector, which I believe now comes with Firefox. So we'll start tweaking this page to make it a little better next time, and using the developer tools here.